Hello, everybody, and I have been disappeared again. Wow, I don't know what is going on here. Do not know what is going on with me disappearing. I set up everything. Let me see here. There we go. It must be a new bug with the update on Ecamm because that never used to happen. I tested it before I went live and it worked fine. I go live and it disappears me. But I am back. Don't worry yourself. I am still here. And speaking of here, Kalani is here. Thank you. Don't call me a guru. That's like the curse of death. Now nothing's gonna work. Uh, Boy, what a difference it made between this morning and afternoon. Let's take a look at the macro picture. By the way, Fed day tomorrow, announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern. So keep that in mind. The only thing I see really catching the market off guard is if they really ramp up the tapering speed faster than the market thinks. This is actually a pretty decent bottoming pattern overall, though. The S&P is in neutral mode. So it's interesting. We're back in neutral mode going into the Fed. By the way, a close tomorrow, if it does rally up, a close tomorrow above today's high puts it in a short-term buy signal. Break down below the low and watch out below. That would not be good. If we take out, with this kind of bottoming price action, if we take out these lows tomorrow, that won't be good. Another thing to note is option expiration on Friday. There tends to be some decent volatility going into December option expiration, and based off these markets, these last few days, I mean, even what it's been pretty much a whole month of December, we've had major volatility. So even after the Fed announcement, I would not be surprised if we had volatility continue. So please don't get caught off guard with that. By the way, the reason we're in neutral mode is it's closed below the rotation zone, but the rotation zone has not crossed. My bullish line, the sand, was up here. You see, you can see here, you've tested even up there with the right with the open to the European session, then sell off 1 hour rotation zone, and then just cascading lower. I did watch something off the open. We had this little run up, but once we got back below this 46.21 area, it was all over until you got some end of the day price bottoming and then a nice little run up into the close. I had to use intraday levels, especially once we got below this 46.07 area, which is a 50% retracement. Just a reminder from this run up. So that was a key level, but once we broke below that, I had to do just some short-term projections from the opening run up high down to this little pausing low. It gave me 45.99, just dipping below that, and then we had divergences coming in. And then when we got this bar through this back through to 50%, it was off to the races. What are we looking at for tomorrow? What are we looking at for tomorrow? Bullish mode for tomorrow is coming in right now. It's got to reprove itself. Still sitting at that 1 hour rotation zone. So it's got to prove itself above this 46.31 level again for me to maintain bullish mode. If we drop below that, then I'm being very cautious. Let's take a look at the bigger sort of picture, because even on a rally tomorrow, it's now got to get through right around this 46.45, 46, yeah, 46.45. I'm actually moving up this level to right around there. That's my first 46.45, 46.46 area. Above there, we are back to right around 46.63. And that's the top of the rotation zone. So these will shift down with overnight price action, but that's even with them shifting down, those are still two pretty solid levels to watch. So first target on a continued rally above my 46.31 area, 46.46 and 46.62. Above 46.62, if we had something major, that's right where the open was today. Then I'd be going back to right around 46.85 to the upside. Now let's go to the downside because that's still very important. To the downside, right about 4,600. 4,600 is key. Below 4,600, my major level. Let's do some projections here also. Some harmonics. Yep, look at that. 62% retracement and the 12.5% harmonic. 45.78 to about 45.80 is my support below 45.96. We break that. That is really not good. I will be in full-blown bear mode then, anticipating the crossover. 45.64 to about 45.60 is the next area. And with that, this can actually come up too. So we have that harmonic and significance right in here. And just above that, a harmonic retracement, harmonic projection just above it, and a significant level. Below that, oh boy. If we just went full on obliteration mode, tomorrow I'm going 45.50. And then below that, I'm back to 45.33. But I am still, as long as we can hold this level, leading with this is a normal sort of bottoming pattern. We had it very similar to this day on the 3rd. Okay, so keep that in mind and see the next day it retested a key level, then ran off to the races. So I will be keeping an eye on that. And again, a close above today's high would be a short-term bullish setup. But tomorrow's going to be very telling with that price action. I'll check that in a bit. Let's see, NASDAQ, I was watching this at this major sell. This is why learn to wait for the closes. You're going to get a lot better information. So at one point it was full-blown bearish mode today, below the 50, below the 62.5% harmonic cluster, below the trend line, that it was kissing it goodbye. You know, I showed this on the chart because this move that triggered this and then it held, and now just closing above it. But the NASDAQ, weakest of the three, you would technically get a bullish buy signal if you got above today's high tomorrow on a closing basis. I'm calling this neutral. We don't have the cross yet, and we are below it. So it's neutral shifting towards bearish. So if we get any bearish price action tomorrow, NASDAQ will turn into bearish mode. You can see here, no, nothing in bullish mode today. Nothing in bullish mode overall. Bullish line in the sand for me tomorrow is about 15,930 area. You also had running down here this little waning momentum reversal bottoming pattern. What happened to my levels? Again, putting it down here with this one right there. That's the level I used earlier. I don't know what happened to them, but that gave me below this a 75% harmonic. I was then watching 15, 730, 850, and we got this little bottoming pattern off it with a series of divergences. And this really solidified it once we got this sort of ramp up bar with this momentum buying for return to some key levels. So that was where we stood with that. Let's take a look. Right up against the 1 hour rotation zone. So if we start rallying in Asian session, watch for that. Key overhead resistance. Still watching this. We're about 15,987 to 16,000 is the first area key resistance. Above that, 16,100 will be very, very key. Prior harmonic and where the top of the 4-hour rotation zone's coming in. Sorry, I have my eye is bugging me a bit. Then above that, 16,157. Let's just see. But I would not ignore the 16,100. That's where the rotation zone is sitting, pretty much willing to cross over. To the downside. Oh, let's see. If we did get above that 16,157, I'd have to go with the next major level. If we had a massive day, I'm just looking where I have to go up towards this 16,320 area if we just had a massive rip your face off rally day. To the downside, oh, those levels are nice. So if we get below intermediate level still, I'm going to raise this just a bit right in here. I'd be watching if we started to drop. We have this still cluster 15,878 I'll be using, and then I'll be going to 15,843. Below 15,843, I'm just returning to this 15,762 to 15,734 area. Watch for bottoming patterns. If we don't get it there, then this is not going to come into play much for me. My next level is 15,562, and then we have this major cluster area down about 15,558 to 15,568, but I will just be trading from the bearish side then if we break below today's lows. Even before that, if we can't sustain anything above this bullish line in the sand, then start rolling over with any momentum, then I'm in bearish mode. Tomorrow, oh, I forgot to change that, didn't I? Sorry about that. I was just looking at the NASDAQ was the weakest. Dow was the strongest. So let's take a look at that Dow. Dow coming down, holding that key 35,323 level. And Dow is still, we have the flattening out rotation zone, but it's technically still in bullish mode. Again, Dow reacting the best of all the markets. Can see here we had this potential 1 hour double that never triggered. Just wanted to leave it on the chart to show it never ever triggered. That's why we wait for the triggers. And then we got rejected this 15,637, multiple pokes above it and could not sustain anything and just rolled over. For tomorrow, about 35,480 is the bullish line in the sand. Above there, if we get above there, now major significance at this 35,620 area. You can see how it was support here, shifting, and now it's held as resistance, and it's the top of the 4-hour rotation zone. So on any bullish move, my first major target, 35,619. We get above there, and I'm going back to about 35,770. And above there, 35,892. To the downside, still going to use this 35,323 area. Below that, we break below that. I'm back to about 35,178. Then, oh boy. Yeah, 35. Then I'm just going to 35,000. The 50% retracement, we drop below that, then I'm at 34,863, and on a big disaster day, 34,716. That's a 62.5, and you don't want to see it close below that for a bullish mode. So those are all those key markets. We got a quest. We got a question. Can I check FDX? FedEx. Remember, FedEx earnings coming in on December 16th. So that's on Thursday. So keep that in mind. FedEx, we actually just triggered yesterday, which I did not look at yesterday. we triggered this mini double top pattern. And it's already hit the first little target. Again, it's a very mini double top, but you can still use this. I'd definitely be watching, if it heads lower tomorrow, I'd be watching this 237 area. And then you still have a little gap behind that, the gap fill. I'm going to be focusing on FedEx after earnings much more than going into earnings. So that's key. Everything's really flat. Let's just take a look at the weekly. Again, it can't sustain anything above the weekly rotation zone, but you start getting a move back above 250, it gets interesting. So that's where I'll be watching it with earnings, you know, right around that 250 area. Get above there with earnings, then you know, we had this little bottoming pattern running up, finally filling this gap, and then couldn't sustain a move yet. But we start getting above 250 again, then it's getting interesting for a potential bullish play. So let's just see where we sit here. Seeing what clusters we have. Nothing fantastic there. So I am just going to use the reverse harmonics for right now. Above this 255 level. So if we get above 250, I'm targeting 255, 259 roughly, and 262. To the downside, we complete the double. And if we head lower, my line in the sand is 235. We break below 235. I think you'll see 227 area again, these two bottoms pretty rapidly because this was prior support. Prior resistance becoming support, retested here. So I'd be watching to see if that held back below there. I'd watch for a retest of these most recent swing lows. That is FedEx. Let's see, crypto. Crypto, little rally back, but crypto's Bitcoin's still in bearish mode. On any rally, still key resistance is about this 50,600 and above there. I just watched the top of the rotation zone, and that's about with this high back from December 7th, 52,000. I mean, this has got some work to do. This has got some work to do on the upside. This is just a little, you know, we have a little divergent short-term play. Look at 5 minute. Again, yeah, that's just a little, you're getting some momentum move with the markets this afternoon. It's, you know, your markets put in a little short-term bottom, and they've been tracking somewhat of the price action over there, but that's just a little rally back. I'm keeping an eye on this from a bigger picture because we've been in pretty much bearish mode for a while now. And Ethereum triggered this massive double, but I mean, you could, geez, you could rally back even to this 4,400 level and it'd still be the double in play. But the first key area on that is 4,000 with the declining daily rotation zone and this prior support becoming resistance. So overall, I'm not bullish on these. It's on any bullish short-term patterns, it's ride them up into these key areas and then take something off, or at least aggressively tighten stops for that. What do we? Let's see what else we have. Again, has it bottomed out? It could have put in a very short-term bottom, but overall, I'm watching it into the rotation zones and prior support becoming resistance in the cryptos. Amazon, you still have this potential double in play. You have an aggressive buy tomorrow if you do get a close above today's high. It went down below the 200 and back above it. And when I say aggressive buy, you need a close tomorrow above today's high. But that's then I'd watch this 34.47 area, 34.50 area with the declining rotation zone. Then that's where, you know, aggressively move up a stop because that could roll over quickly again. So that's the only thing that's new with Amazon, and none. I wouldn't change any of these other levels to the downside. So any aggressive buy, we can take a look at just shorter time. There is no other real bottoming pattern here, at least on something I want to cover like on that short. But you can still watch for just slightly more gap fill. But intraday tomorrow, I'd watch 3,400 to see if you can get above 3,400. If the market holds and firms up, even with the Fed announcement, this can get above 3,400, then I'd really pay attention to that closing basis. Been watching SoFi closely. Your recent commentary, I believe you triggered a double bottom today, but hasn't hit confirmation yet. Well, we didn't. SoFi. We haven't triggered because the trigger confirmation would be a trade above 1717. A trigger would be a close above there. It's still in play. We have an inside day, and now your aggressive buy signal is a close tomorrow above today's high. And again, remember, on any move up into the rotation zone on the daily basis, even let's see, even yeah, I mean you might get with tomorrow's price action, it's going to have to work to get through the 4-hour rotation zone. But once you get above there, you have this pretty clear path move. And this is trying to put in a bottom. So, yeah, and get above the 1 hour tomorrow. So I would be watching if you want an aggressive play. Again, I can't give trade recommendations. It is a systematic entry, though, if it does get a close above today's high, but it is highly aggressive. So I will reiterate, you got to aggressively raise stops. And it's nowhere near a double bottom trigger. The trigger's up here, but I already talked about that, how you can take an aggressive play, when you're raising stops and taking some off, and then if it triggers a double, add it back, and you have a lower position established and a slightly higher position, and then you're in a really good longer term play should that double. But this could even trigger the lower one, even get through this even into the daily rotation zone and never even trigger the double and just roll over near the top of the rotation zone. But SoFi is getting into an interesting perspective. Amazon Head and Shoulders. You mean that? No, this isn't the Head and Shoulders, because Head and Shoulders is a reversal pattern, okay? That's the mistake people make. Just like doubles are a reversal pattern, Head and Shoulders are a reversal pattern. So this cannot be a Head and Shoulders pattern, because it's only reversing this move. Okay, and the targets would be below here. It does not test out well at all when it does not reverse a move. It's just people spotting stuff like that and then trying to trade it. So no, that is not a Head and Shoulders pattern. Okay, so we covered some key things today. Really watch. I mean, you got the Fed announcement tomorrow, so that's what everything will be keying off of. But I am watching to see if just to recap, to see if we put in a potentially short-term bottom in the indices. But they, again, will have to prove themselves tomorrow morning, and then that 2 p.m. Eastern is going to be key. Until then, and we'll recap that tomorrow. Until then, thank you for watching. I'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.